Hello, good evening everyone. So my dear friends, once again I welcome all of you in today's current affairs session. Okay, so today also there are some very good news in the Hindu and Indian Express. Mostly the news are focusing around the labor codes uh, which have been recently announced by Government of India. Okay, although the acts were passed much earlier. Okay, so mostly the news focuses around labor codes, and also some news is also about the yesterday's response of judiciary, response of Supreme Court to the presidential reference. Okay, and I have told you about basics of presidential reference yesterday. Okay, then there are some more news about Indian economic reforms, what reforms have been taken in the past 1 decade, particularly under the third regime of the current government, Modi 3.0. Okay, so what reforms have been taken by this government and how they are going to have long-term implications. Okay, so I will discuss all of them one by one. So let's get going. So the first news which I have taken is from the Hindu. It is about notification of 4 new labor codes. Okay, 4 new labor codes have been notified. Okay, now what are these labor codes about? Okay, these are about all the labor laws which are prevalent in our country. Okay, first of all, you must remember around more than 25 laws were governing the labor sector. Okay, so earlier there were how many? More than 25 28 to 29 laws were there governing the labor sector. Okay, now these laws have been taken down and they have been clubbed into only 4 labor laws. Okay, what are those 4 labor laws? I will tell you all of them one by one, and I will also highlight how these laws have been very important for the current labor scenario in the country. Okay, now apart from these 4 labor laws, there is a news how they will shape the labor sector, or how will they be helpful in the economic sector of the country. Okay, now in these 4 labor laws, I will tell you what are those 4 labor laws. Okay, the first one is Code on Wages. Code on Wages means it will be governing the wages sector, and the act itself was passed in 2019. Now, please understand one important thing. A code which has been passed in 2019 was not in implementation till 2025. Okay, why the delay? Because there were a lot of consultations going on, a lot of other issues were also, and a lot of internal nitty-gritties were being worked out. Okay, now I must tell you that it will deal only the wages section of the labor sector. Okay, and I must tell you one more thing, that wages sector was being dealt by 4 acts earlier. Like there was Minimum Wages Act which was passed in 1948. So see how old was that Minimum Wages Act. Minimum Wages Act of 1948. So old. Okay, 75-year-old act. Okay, then there was also Payment of Wages Act 1956. Okay, then there was also one more act, Payment of Bonus 1965, Equal Remuneration Act 1976, Payment of Bonus 1965. Okay, then Equal Remuneration Act 1976. So there were so many codes, so many laws governing the wages section, and now we have brought them all under one act that is called as Code on Wages. That is called as Code on Wages. I will tell you why this was immediate, why this was urgent. I will have a detailed discussion on this today. Okay, second one, the second code apart from Code on Wages is the Code on Industrial Relations. Okay, or simply Industrial Relations Code. This is the law governing relations between the employer and the employee in the industry. Okay, Industrial Relations Code, which was the act was passed in 2020, but now Center has notified these codes also into the official gazette. Okay, now the formulation of the rules and clauses, sub clauses, that will be done in the coming days. Okay, now Industrial Relation Codes basically also subsumed so many it subsumed so many laws. There were primarily 3 laws which were governing the relations between employer and the employee. Okay, now which were those laws? Trade Union Act 1926, so old as 100 years. Okay, Industrial Employment Act 1946 and Industrial Disputes Act of 1947. So old archaic laws are going away, and new laws have been codified, and this was a much needed reform. Why? Because mostly the employers used to keep employees on informal basis. Okay, daily wage basis. Sometimes wages were paid, sometimes they were not paid. That's why contract has been made compulsory in these laws. Okay. Now, apart from this, there was one more code that is called as a Code on Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions. Okay, Code on Occupational Safety, Code on Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition. I must tell you, maximum number of laws were here in terms of occupational safety, health and working conditions. Yet we were getting complaints from different sectors that workers are being kept in very pathetic conditions. Female workers are not having proper safety measures at workplace. Crèche facilities were not there for female workers. So that's why Code on Occupational Safety, Health and Work Conditions was improved. So almost more than 13 laws it has subsumed. It has subsumed more than 13 laws which were related to occupational safety. Like one was BD and Cigar Workers Act of 1966, Sign Workers Act 1981, then Motor Transport Workers Act. Different sector workers act were there, and for all the workers there were different acts. Now they have all been brought under one code that is called as Code on Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions. Trust me, this is going to be one of the most important question for your mains of 2026 UPSC exam, as well as JKPSC and other public service commissions. Okay, so apart from occupational safety, there is the fourth one, that is Code on Social Security. Code on Social Security. This is also of 2020, but now it has been notified in the official gazettes. Okay, now why do we need this code on social safety? Because what is social safety or what is social security? First of all, you understand the social security concept. Social security means, apart from salaries, how secure is your future? How secure is your health? How secure is your life? What are the working conditions? How much leaves you can get? These all fall under the social security. Mostly the social security is about security of you and your family in terms of emergencies. Why old age pension is the best example of social security thing. Okay, this provident fund, PF, for the unorganized sector workers is one such example of health insurance, a social security measure. Okay, this need was also highlighted during the pandemic COVID-19, when these platform workers, gig workers, they were nowhere defined. Neither any social security was for them. Now, interesting to note here is that in this year's Code on Social Security, we have also this definition of gig workers for the first time it has come up. Okay, now this is basics you must understand. So it has subsumed around 28 to 29 laws which were governing labor sector, and now they have been codified into these 4 codes. You must get into this. Okay, now what are the major benefits which have been promised under these laws? I will tell you. The major benefits promised under these laws: number 1, universal social security, means all workers will get social security, males, females, formal, informal, universal social security has been promised. Number 1. Okay, also these gig workers or platform workers which are hired by platforms to work on flexible conditions. When they hire you, they pay you and they leave you. Like delivery boys, Zomato, Swiggy, you take the order, you go and deliver it, you get the payment and leave. Maybe you will get next order, maybe you will not get next order. So such gig workers, for them also social security concept has been introduced. Okay, then also gender pay parity. Gender pay parity. Gender pay parity. Because in gender disparity, it was found that if 1 rupee is paid to men for a work, only 67 paisa is paid to a woman for the same work. This was the amount of gender disparity. So gender pay parity concept has also been introduced in these labor codes. Okay, then also it has expanded safety for women workers. The third provision it has done, expanded safety for women workers. Expanded safety for women workers. Women workers. Women workers. Okay, and then also it has brought minimum wages into the law, and it has by law defined what are minimum wages, how they should be determined. Okay, so it means it has given legal backing. Earlier minimum wages, Labor Bureau used to say this should be fixed as minimum wages based on the day-to-day expenditure, but there was no law which defined minimum wages. So now in code on wages, minimum wages concept is also defined, so it has got a legal statutory backing. So the fourth point is legal statutory backing. Legal statutory backing to wages, to definition of minimum wages. So now minimum wages are officially defined. What do minimum wages actually mean? You get the point? So these are the basics in the code on wages and in the laws. Okay, now obviously whenever some laws come, then these are criticized also. You know, trade unions say that these laws are giving huge benefit to the trade unions. Trade unions say that these laws are giving huge backing to the employer. They are pro-employer and against the employee. They are pro-employer and against the employee. But what I have seen, what I have read, that ample flexibility is there for the employers also. But yeah, a bit of a bit of more flexibility has been given to employer, but that is for increasing efficiency in the organization. You get the point? So also there has been a criticism that the 29 laws which were governing the labor sector, they were relevant for all the sectors. Now these will not touch all the sectors, but this criticism is not a valid one, because almost all the sectors have been brought under one net, and minimum wages defined for all, including the gig workers. Okay, social security for all, including the gig workers. Okay, now one more thing which has been introduced here is the it has given the definition of fixed term employment. Fixed term employment. Okay, I will explain this on the next page. What is fixed term employment? Okay, yeah. So proceeding further, we will see that strong foundations have been laid for social security. So do you agree to this point or not? Strong foundation for social security. Do you agree to this point or not? Well, how will you decide whether to agree or not? Because social security earlier was not available for only gig workers and part-time workers. Now there is no concept of part-time workers, rather there is a concept of fixed term employment. So if these concepts are there, it means that definitely there is basically strong foundation of social security network. Okay, and also for wages, there is this concept of minimum wages and timely wages. Minimum and timely wages. Timely wages. Suppose some employee committed a mistake. Suppose a mistake happened, some employee has been penalized, that your 10-month salary will be deducted. Now, Code on wages says that you have to deduct the salary across 20 months, half salary every month. At least half salary you have to pay to the employee, because he has to sustain also his life. Get the point? So that's also very beautiful provision in this. Okay, then safety, I have already told you, safety for women, etc., etc. Now what will happen? One important thing it has introduced, that fixed term employment. Fixed term employment means whenever you have to employ someone, even for 3 months, you have to sign a contract. You have to sign a written contract. And in fixed term employment, it is like a permanent employment where your salary is decided, your other benefits are also associated. Although it is a type of contractual employment, but it will have service related benefits also. It will also have service related benefits. Now, when all have been brought under the fixed term employment, employees are told that if you have to employ any worker, you have to keep on the basis of a contract. You have to give service related benefits. Now, almost social security net then has become universal. Everybody will get this social security network. Okay. Now, also one more concept has been introduced, that is called as floor wages. That is called as floor wages. Central government will decide what shall be the minimum floor wages. It will be decided by whom? Central government. And this will be the minimum wage below which nobody should pay any worker. Okay, minimum wage below which wage rates are impermissible or not allowed. You cannot fix any wage rate which is below floor wages. So floor wages will be fixed by central government. So this is also very good reform. Okay, and also these things are very, very important. Okay, now two important bodies are proposed in this act. Two important bodies are proposed in this act. One is called as National Occupational Safety Health Board. One important body, that is National Occupational Safety Health Board. This board will be set up. Okay, this is called as OSH. Occupational Safety and Health Board will be set up. It will try to establish harmonious standards. It will try to set up harmonious it will bring the health and safety standards in harmony across the country. Across the country, social safety measures and health standards will be set up. Okay. Yeah. So this board will ensure that across the country there are proper measures taken for occupational safety and health standards. Okay. Now also one more important dispute resolution body will be set up for resolving the dispute, for dispute resolution, two-member tribunal. Okay, the second body is two-member dispute resolution tribunal. Dispute resolution tribunal. If there will be any dispute between employer and the employee, this tribunal will fast track the case and will decide the case on the merits. Okay. Speciality about the code, this code is that it has for the first time defined gig workers. Earlier gig workers were nowhere defined. Okay. Gig workers, which are also called as platform workers, those workers which are hired on need basis, temporary basis, and they work on a particular, there is no, maybe there may never be a direct relation, not direct contact between the employer. They will get employment through a platform like Zomato. The delivery boy may never meet the owner of Zomato, but after fulfilling the criteria of having a vehicle, being available to deliver the orders, you are just employed, salary will be credited on the basis of amount of delivery orders you take during the day. Employer may never meet the employer itself. Okay. Now, this is from the Hindu. Okay. From Indian Express, there is one wonderful, which is also from the Press Information Bureau. This chart is from Press Information Bureau. It has been published by The Hindu also. Okay. So what does it says? It says that after 5 years of wait, Centre has notified 4 labor codes on wages, industrial relations, social security, occupational safety and health, working condition. They will be effective from November 21. Means from yesterday they have been made effective. Now which ministry is the nodal ministry for this? It is Ministry of Labour and Employment. Okay. Ministry of Labour and Employment. So Ministry of Labour and Employment has is the nodal ministry which has given details about these labor codes. Okay. So first of all, what are the features? I have already told you, already discussed from the Hindu, but I will also tell you how I will also tell you how Press Information Bureau has put it all. Okay, Press Information Bureau says that first of all, what they have been doing, formalization of employment. One important advantage also. This can be also said that this is the one advantage. It will formalize employment. Why? Because there are mandatory what has been made mandatory here? Mandatory appointment letters. Mandatory appointment letters. All the employees which you are hiring, you must give mandatory appointment letters. So that it will ensure, number one, job security, and number two, it will ensure formalization. Okay, people will get job security and people will also get into the formal sector of employment. Okay, then also social security coverage. Okay, earlier there was limited social security coverage, but now almost all the workers, including gig and platform workers, have also been included in social security. This is what I have also told you. Gig and platform workers have also been brought under social security coverage. Where will the money come from? Where will the money come from for social security, like pensions, health insurance, etc., etc.? So it has been said that every employer will contribute 1 to 2% of their turnover for social security of the workers. 1 to 2% of the turnover will be contributed. Okay. Then minimum wages have been defined. Minimum wages earlier were defined only for scheduled industries. Now they have been introduced for all the industries. Okay. And also here I have told you already, the concept of floor wages, which is very, very important, has also been introduced. Concept of floor wages is also very important. So minimum wages. Then also there is preventive healthcare measures. Earlier there was no legal requirement for companies or employers that they should have annual health checkup of the workers, but now it has been mandatory that all workers shall be given one free health checkup in the year. So it means that their preventive healthcare is also going to improve. Timely wages. There was no compliance for timely wages, but now it is mandatory for employers to provide timely wages and to provide financial stability to the workers. Okay, and also women's workforce participation has been enhanced. Women are permitted to work in night in all types of works across. Only two things for women. One is that ample security measures must be there, and women have the freedom to give consent. If they give consent that I am ready to available to work even after 7 p.m. Till morning 10 a.m. or 8 a.m. So women have also been, actual time is 6 a.m. So women have also been given this freedom that you can also work during night hours. Okay. Then there is also single license is required for firms now to hire workers from across the country. Earlier, everywhere, wherever the employer goes, they need to give licenses, they need to give documentation and register themselves in their labor laws. But now only these 4 labor laws you have to register for. You'll get a universal license across the India, and that will ease compliance. So compliance for the workers will also ease out. Okay. So this is all basic about labor codes. Now in detail, tomorrow will be another article. This will remain in discussion for 4, 5, 6 days now. So please club the knowledge whichever you get every day, whichever I discuss every day, and finally you will get all the relevant material related to mains examination. I will also, in a conclusion lecture, I will discuss whether they were required or not, what are the advantages, what are the challenges, and how to make them more effective. Okay, so this was article 1 for you. It was related to labor codes, 4 labor codes. I have given you data from The Hindu, Indian Express, and Press Information Bureau. Okay. Next, economic reforms have been initiated under the article itself says Modi 3.0. Okay, although as civil services aspirants, we are not supposed to write in such way, but yes, we can say the 3rd term of NDA government, there has been appetite for economic reforms. I will discuss what economic reforms we have seen. But first of all, I will see what concerns we have currently in the global economy. What concerns we have in the global economy. Okay. In global economics, what we have the concerns. The first concern was inflation, which was a post-COVID concern, which was a post-COVID concern. Okay, why? Also, Russia-Ukraine war, supply chain disruption. Okay, now the Trump tariffs. Okay, so consistently there have been challenges in the supply chain. That's why we have seen inflation in the economics. Okay, second one was basically more economic uncertainties. These are the basically concerns of current times. Okay, economic uncertainties. Why? Because COVID induced uncertainties, Russia Ukraine induced uncertainties, the Central Asian instability induced uncertainties. Now Trump also induced so much uncertainties into global economies. Okay, then therefore this period was basically a difficult period, but it has been said that India managed to sail through these because number one, we had great how India managed to sail. Indian scenario. Number one, robust agriculture. Even during COVID times, we have positive growth. Even during COVID. Okay, then second thing, we were having huge amount of forex reserve in our balance. So huge amount of forex was available with us. So that also helped us to deal with these uncertainties. Okay, moreover, our reforms, the reforms which we have taken over, they have basically helped us to sail through. So the reforms which we have taken all fall under one thing that is called as fiscal discipline. Okay, fiscal discipline. What do you mean by fiscal discipline? Means our fiscal policy, budgetary policy was full of reforms. Okay, why fiscal discipline? Because we increased capital expenditure. Whatever expenditure we were doing, we spent that on assets. Now that assets, infrastructure, etc. is called capital expenditure. Expenditure which we have done as a part of investment. We invested in infrastructure projects, various other projects. So India gained very much pace. It is said that if you see capital expenditure in 2020-21, it was 12%. But if you see 2024-25, budgetary estimates say that it has gone up to 22% as per the budget estimates. So these small numbers, small figures you can use to substantiate your answers of the mains examination. Okay, on the other side also we have seen reforms in taxation. On the other side we have seen reforms in taxation. The fourth is taxation reforms. Okay, now in taxation we have seen two types of reforms. Okay, I will write here taxation reforms. I will write taxation reforms in this box. First of all, in direct taxes, we have seen tax slab rationalization. Means we have made so much ease in taxes, because if you see currently the 0% tax slab is 0% up to 12 lakh. If your income is up to 12 lakh, you have to pay 0% tax as per the budget 2025-2026. And also 75,000 you have standard deduction. Standard deduction means the amount on which you are not supposed to pay any tax. If your income is 13 lakh, then we will deduct 75,000 upfront. Taxable amount will be 12,25,000. Okay, 12 lakh has up to 12 lakh if your income is, then 0% tax. But beyond 12 lakh, even 1 rupee or 2 rupee, the whole 12 lakh will be taxed. That is taxing higher income groups more. So this is called as progressive taxation. So Indian taxation system has been made more progressive through tax reforms in the budget. Okay, and also the second reform which we have introduced is in the section of indirect taxes. I am writing it here now because limited space. In indirect taxes, if you have seen in indirect taxes, you have seen GST, 2.0. I will take a detailed class on what is GST 2.0 and how it has benefited. But I must tell you in short that earlier there was 0%, 5%, 12%, 18%, 28%. These were earlier tax slabs. These were earlier tax slabs. Okay, but recently this tax slab is gone now and this tax slab is also gone now. Currently we have only two tax slabs, 5% and 18%. Means tax structure has also been rationalized, and majority of the articles which are in 12%, they have been moved to 5% slab. Means tax GST has reduced drastically. That's why, because of reduction in GST, so demand in the economy has pulled up. Okay, when government reduces taxes, people are left with more money in their hands. That is called as personal disposable income. When more personal disposable income, when more money in hands of people for spending, they'll definitely spend. That will increase the demand. Demand increases production. Production increases employment. So all that is called as a virtuous cycle in the economy. So in the economy, a virtuous cycle is set in because of all this. Okay, so these reforms have been mentioned in this article. Okay. Now also one more thing which has been introduced here. This is where I have mentioned that 5% and 8% tax slabs have been introduced. Okay, so this is mentioned in the article itself. Okay, I have spoken nothing out of this article. So this is article. Moreover, now if you see, RBI has given also the fifth point is that RBI has also supported in the reforms. RBI has also supported in the reforms. How? It has taken additional 22 measures for strengthening the reliance of the competitiveness of banking sector. So it means RBI is also consistently, we can say a stable banking sector was also a great deal of, was also of great help for us to survive these situations. How can you say banking sector has become more stable? If you see since past 5 years, consistently there is a decline in non-performing assets of banks. What are non-performing assets? These are those assets, those loans on which consistently for over 90 days those loans which are not able to yield any interest in principal, or any interest amount is not being returned. So EMIs are not being returned by the borrowers on timely basis. Clear that? So moreover, it has also said that in reforms, global partnership has enhanced. Free trade agreements, okay, or comprehensive economic trade partnerships with UK. Then only strain was basically the US relations. Now they have also started improvement. Now Prime Minister in his speech on Republic Day also said that we will fast track the domestic reforms in the economy. So far we have seen so much of reforms are being done and so much of reforms are currently going on. Also, insolvency and bankruptcy code earlier in 2016 it was introduced. I will take a separate lecture because these are detailed mains topics. Okay, so this article summarizes basically what government has done so far in India for improvement of the situation. Okay, so that's why we have a stable economics currently. Although forex is leaving, although rupee is depreciating. On one side this news, on another side we have another news that rupee has hit all-time low. It has gone below 89 rupees per dollar. That's the point. But weakening of rupee is something which is relative to dollar. Overall, the economic stability is visible from this article written by S. Mahendradev. Okay, this is from Indian Express. Yeah. So next thing, that this is the article which talks about the Supreme Court's response to presidential reference. Okay, but I will ask you first questions from yesterday's lecture. Under which article President can refer matters of law to Supreme Court? Yesterday I have told you Article 143. Under which article Governor has the option of giving assent to the bill, reserving it for presidential consideration, or returning it to the legislature for reconsideration. Article 200 and 201 says president's options. What options are available with the president? Get the point? Now yesterday's answers. The first answer which I will remind you, that when president has referred a question to Supreme Court and asks, shall there be a timeline on governor how much time he or she should use to give assent or send the bill back for reconsideration or send the bill for presidential assent. Supreme Court replied that there is no fixed timeline because Constitution says minimum at the earliest. Now it is not possible to define at the earliest. It means in April, when Supreme Court fixed a 3 months timeline, that timeline has been done away by Supreme Court. Okay, so this is a blow to those states where there is a tussle between state as well as state government, elected government, as well as the governor. Get the point? So that's why it is called as, the article's heading says, is it really a blow to states? Is it really a problem for the states? Is it a blow to the states? Actually, there are different ways of interpreting things. What I see is that it is purely a constitutional thing. Constitution does not prescribe any timeline for the governor, and Supreme Court has given its opinion that sitting over the bill for indefinite period is not justifiable. Okay, now it says that it will make difficult the relations between center and states. Federalism is the principle of politics or principle of polity, which states that there is a division of power between center and the states. But if elected governments pass a bill and governors stop that bill, then people say, or political analysts say that the governors are appointed by the center, so that's why they make it difficult for the opposition ruled states. So this is opinion of the people who are in opposition. But actually, will this judgment give a blow to federalism? I don't see that. Why? Because this judgment says minimum possible time is given to the governor, but fixing a timeline will actually be unconstitutional. For that matter, you need to make a proper constitutional amendment. Okay, it cannot be done with judicial decisions, because our country has a flexible constitution, but our country has also a written constitution which is written once for all. Not like Britain, unwritten constitution which is evolving, new judgments keep on coming and they get added to the constitution. No, we need to make proper amendment in the existing constitution if we have to fix a timeline for the president. So in April 2025, I already told you a 3 months timeline was fixed for the governors to discharge the cases. Now court has said that there is proper separation of powers between legislature and executive and judiciary. Judiciary cannot give directions to executive, or judiciary cannot fix timeline for the government. Okay, so fixing the timeline, and also the deemed consent means if in 3 months you will not give your consent, it will be considered that you have given the consent. Then why is governor there in the state if you have to say that the consent is deemed? Okay, the consent is by default deemed. Deemed means मान लिया गया कि consent मिल गई. अगर मान ही लेना है तो governor है क्यों state में? So this will undermine the governor's authority. So this has also been done away. Okay, fixing a timeline has also been done away. And what Supreme Court has said, that there is a principle of separation of powers. Because of this separation of powers principle, we are saying that it cannot be done. Okay, separation of powers. Get the point? Okay. Now, this is also, there was also a commission set up on center-state relations that is called as Sarkaria Commission. So sometimes they ask you a question, which commission has recommended fixing a timeline for the first time? So you must remember that Sarkaria Commission, I'm left with little space, but I will write here. Okay, Sarkaria Commission. Sarkaria Commission, which was set up on center-state relations, says that 6 months period must be fixed for the governor to give consent or return the bill for reconsideration or send it to the president. But this recommendation also was not accepted. Earlier, Sarkaria Commission has recommended this. Okay, now Constitution, I have already told you, Constitution talks about reasonable period of time. Means whatever bill is coming to the governor should keep it pending for reasonable period of time. But there is no definition of reasonability. There is no definition of reasonability. So therefore, this article says that court has basically opened a space for more litigations. But who will do the more litigations? Recently, I was reading yesterday, even in today's newspaper, one chief minister of Odisha, I suppose, he has said that we will only stop when court fixes a time limit for governors to decide on the bills passed by the state legislature. Okay, so this is addition to what I taught you yesterday. Okay, so yes, also you must remember that this time the presidential address, it was 16th. In two cases, president has earlier Supreme Court has earlier resorted to not answering the references of the president. 14 cases Supreme Court has responded, and in the 16th presidential reference, the majority of the questions were answered, barring few questions. Okay, so this is all you need to understand, you need to know from this side. Okay, now next question, next article is very, very important article. I am telling you, it is a very, very important article related to antimicrobial resistance. Antimicrobial resistance. Okay, first of all, overcoming resistance. What resistance it is talking about? What resistance it is talking about? It is talking about antimicrobial resistance. What resistance? It is talking about antimicrobial resistance. You know, microbial means related to microorganisms. Okay, viruses, bacteria, etc., which cause various disease in humans. So antimicrobial resistance it is talking about. Okay, those organisms, bacteria, or those viruses which are gaining resistance against the drugs. Drugs are being ineffective on those organisms. They are called superbugs. They are called as superbugs. Now, how to deal with these superbugs? How to deal, and why it is a big concern? It is a big concern because recently World Health Organization has released a report on this microbial resistance, and it has said that antimicrobial resistance is a big problem. Okay, the Global Antibiotic Resistance Surveillance Report. Okay, Global Antibiotic Resistance Surveillance Report of World Health Organization. Global Antibiotic Surveillance Resistance Report, World Health Organization. Now, what has World Health Organization said in this report? It has said that globally, one of three bacterial infections has become resistant to first line drug. One of every three. If you take globally, if you take, sorry, 1 out of 6. If you take 6 bacterial disease, you will find one of them has resistance to medicines. Means one bacteria has developed resistance towards the particular first line drug. Okay, but the same picture is different for India. For India, they say it is more, the picture is more gloomy. 1 in every 3 cases out of 3, means 33% of the bacterial disease in India has developed drug resistance. Okay, this drug resistance has been in discussion since 2012. Since 2012, it has been in discussion, drug resistance among the various organisms. Okay, now first of all, you must understand the definition of drug resistance. First of all, you must understand the definition of drug resistance. What actually drug resistance means? Drug resistance means a situation when organisms, bacteria, viruses, fungi or parasites develop resistance, and they resist the medicines which once used to kill those bacteria and fungi or viruses or any other bugs. Get the point? Means now those organisms have developed a resistance against that particular drug, and that drug has become ineffective now. Now, top 10 global health threats Out of them, one threat is drug resistance. Okay, antimicrobial resistance is one of the top 10 threats across the globe. One of the top 10 threats across the globe. Okay. Yeah. It has been called as one of the top 10 health related threats. It is one of the top 10 health related threats. Which one? The resistance, antimicrobial resistance. Okay, so therefore we in India started National Action Plan on Antimicrobial Resistance. National Action Plan on antimicrobial resistance. Antimicrobial resistance. The time period was 2017 to 2024. This was National Action Plan 1. First National Action Plan 2017 to 2020. 2017 to 2021. This was 21. Okay, 21. But in this National Action Plan, what we have observed that only few steps were taken. Like only one or two states. Like if I give you example, Gujarat. One state, Gujarat. One state, that is state of Gujarat. Gujarat, Kerala. These two states have banned over the counter sale of antibiotics. Okay, why? Because excessive consumption and misuse of antibiotics has been said as the primary cause for antimicrobial resistance. Get the point? So therefore, this action plan could not yield good results. That's why recently we have launched the Vision 2 of National Action, version 2, that is National Action Plan for for microbial resistance. National Action Plan for microbial resistance. For microbial resistance 2.0. Okay, with its launch in 2025, what we are planning that we will be dealing with the drug resistance problem. Why? Because the implementation of the National Action Plan version 1 was sluggish. The implementation was poor. Rather, it is sluggish. Okay. Now, what we need to deal with this problem? We need to say that first of all, we need to stop excessive use of the antibiotics. We need to stop the misuse of antibiotics. And one important part of this action plan is One Health Plan. One Health Plan means we should not only focus on health of humans. We should also focus on health of animals, because humans and animals are so connected with each other in terms of food and every dependence on this. So therefore, we have to integrate the prisms of health of human, animal and environment. So this One Health Plan deals with integration of human health, animal health and environmental health. Then only we can give a holistic approach, holistic response to the antimicrobial resistance. I have already told you only Kerala, it is only Kerala written here, but also Gujarat. So in this article, Gujarat is not mentioned. I have already mentioned it there only. Okay. Now, the One Health approach will have to be strengthened and better coordination with states should be ensured. Then only we will be able to implement the National Action Plan on Microbial Resistance 2.0. This is all what has been said and done in this. Okay. Last article, that is Humboldt penguin. This is for prelims only. Ecology and environment. Humboldt penguin. Okay. Chile sounds alarm that the population of Humboldt penguin is shrinking. Population of Humboldt penguin is shrinking. Okay. Now 80% of the world's remaining Humboldt penguins remain in the Chile Pacific coast. In the Chile Pacific coast. Even in India, in Mumbai also we introduced some chicks of Humboldt penguin. Okay, now Humboldt penguin, this is related to environmental conservation. Okay, Humboldt penguin, you have to understand that a bird family member. Okay, but what are the challenges it is facing? It is facing the challenges of commercial fishing. Commercial fishing, number one. Number two, we are also fishing habitat. We are also facing habitat loss. We are also facing pollution. Then we are also facing bird flu, and then climate change. These are the major problems to Humboldt penguin. International Union on Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, IUCN. IUCN says that Humboldt penguin is in which list? Humboldt penguin is vulnerable. Vulnerable means if we will not protect Humboldt penguin, we will see its IUCN status, International Union on Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. It is vulnerable. Vulnerable to losses. Vulnerable to damages. Means it has come to vulnerable. After that, endangered, critically endangered and extinct. Okay. Then also there is one convention on international trade of endangered species, that is called as CITES. Okay. CITES, CITES, CITES. Convention on International Trade of Endangered Species, endangered wild flora and fauna. Okay. Now there are three appendices. Appendix 1, Appendix 2 and Appendix 3 of the CITES. Appendix 1 says that most endangered species are there. Appendix 2, those species which are now threatened with extinction, and Appendix 3 means those species which in which trade regulation is very must, otherwise they may go also in the extinction list. So Humboldt penguin is only in the first appendix. First appendix means most endangered among the CITES listed animals. CITES says that it is in appendix 1. Appendix 1 means most endangered. You must remember all these environmental governance related issues, like what is Convention on International Trade of Flora and Fauna, then what is IUCN, International Union on Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. IUCN basically publishes one book also, that is called one list, that is called Red List, which contains the list of threatened species. Okay, then the Red List basically continuously keeps updating animals in various categories, like there are least concern categories, near threatened, vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered, then extinct in the wild, and finally extinct. These are the categories of IUCN. Okay, so this is all for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Tomorrow we'll come up with some more current affairs. Okay, important points to note. Now I will tell you few important points to note. Number one, if you read the newspaper daily news read means enhancement of points for mains examination, enhancement of knowledge. Number one point which you should remember. Number second point which you should remember, that it is not necessary to read any magazine if you are reading newspapers. Newspapers have no substitute, because newspapers help you in many ways. Newspapers have no substitute. Why newspapers have no substitute? The magazines give you only factual knowledge, but newspapers give you three important things. Number one, they help you in building opinion. Number two, they help you to improve your language. Number three, they help you in improving your presentation, how you present your knowledge. All the things which I discuss in the current affairs is from newspaper only. Okay, I never consult any book for teaching current affairs. Why? Because most of the things itself are covered in the newspaper. So I hope you will read newspaper here onwards very much properly. So thank you so much. We will meet again tomorrow.